The air in the laundry room was thick with the scent of lavender detergent, a fragrance that had once comforted me but now felt suffocating as I stood there, holding a white dress shirt up to the fading afternoon light. My fingers traced the collar, pausing at the unmistakable mark, a bold slash of lipstick, a shade of coral too vibrant to be mine. I wore muted tones, soft pinks and nudes that blended into the background of my quiet life. This was different. This was loud, deliberate, a declaration pressed into the fabric of my husband's shirt. 5 years of marriage to Nathan Pierce had taught me his patterns: meetings until 6 p.m., the gym until 7:30, home by 8 o'clock sharp. Lately, though, 8 o'clock had stretched to 9 o'clock, then 10 o'clock, each delay accompanied by excuses that sounded rehearsed, polished to a sheen I no longer trusted. Suspicion had been a quiet hum in my mind for months, but this was evidente, tangible and undeniable. My hands trembled as I lowered the shirt, folding it back into the basket with the care of an archaeologist preserving a relic. In a way, it was a relic, the first crack in the facade of our life together. I didn't confront him that night. Nathan came home at 9:47, his tie loosened, his dark hair slightly mussed, and a faint whiff of something unfamiliar clinging to him, cologne, maybe, or the ghost of someone else's perfume. "Big project," he said, brushing a kiss across my forehead instead of my lips, a gesture that had become his default. "The client's demanding review science. You know how it is." I nodded, stirring a pot of risotto that had gone cold waiting for him, the wooden spoon scraping the bottom with a rhythm that matched my churning thoughts. The distance between us wasn't new: separate showers, separate bedtimes, separate lives unfolding under the same roof, but this felt different. It wasn't just absence, it was secrecy. The next morning I sat on the edge of our bed, scrolling through my phone, thumbing past photos of us from happier times. There we were at the beach 3 years ago, my arms around his waist, his grin wide and unforced. Another from our 3rd anniversary at La Bella Vita, the little Italian restaurant downtown where he'd proposed, the candlelight catching the diamond on my finger. The progression was stark: fewer pictures together, his smile tightening into something performative, my own eyes narrowing with questions I hadn't yet voiced. The phone buzzed in my hand, jolting me back to the present. An unknown number flashed on the screen. I hesitated, then answered, dropping the lipstick-stained shirt back into the basket as if it burned. "Hello." My voice wavered slightly. "Is this Lauren Pierce?" The woman's voice was familiar, a cadence I couldn't place, strained with something heavy. "Yes." "Who's this?" "It's Rachel. Rachel Monroe." Rachel. My childhood best friend, the girl who'd once known every corner of my heart, who'd braided my hair on sleepover nights and cried with me when my first boyfriend dumped me in 10th grade. College had pulled us apart, me to the East Coast, her to the West, and time had eroded our promises of forever. 8 years had passed since our last real conversation. "Rachel? Oh my God, it's been forever." "How?" "Lauren, I need to ask you something, and it's going to sound insane." Her words trembled, like she was holding them together with sheer will. "Are you alive?" I almost laughed, the absurdity of it cutting through my tension. "Last I checked." "Why would you?" "Because your husband told me you died 3 years ago. A car accident." The room spun, the edges blurring as her words sank in. My free hand gripped the bedspread, knuckles whitening. "What are you talking about?" "I've been seeing someone for about 6 months. Nathan Pierce. He told me his wifey outed. He showed me a photo of you, kept it face down on his desk, said it was too hard to look at. I didn't think much of it until last week. I was at his place, your place, and I saw a picture with your old house in the background. The one with the red shutters from when we were kids. I recognized it instantly. My breath caught a sharp, ragged thing. You've been to our house? Several times. Her voice broke. Lauren, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. When I saw that photo, I started digging, found your Instagram, your LinkedIn. You're alive. You've been alive this whole time. The bedroom, with its familiar sage green walls and the quilt my mother had made, suddenly felt alien, like I'd stepped into someone else's life. Had Rachel been here in this space? Had she sat on this couch, slept in this bed, while Nathan spun a tale of my death? Tell me everything, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. For the next 40 minutes, Rachel unraveled the lie Nathan had constructed. They'd met at a marketing conference in Denver 6 months ago, not a chance encounter, she now suspected, but something he'd orchestrated. He'd painted a picture of a grieving widower, a man shattered by the loss of his wife in a tragic crash on a 95. He'd brought her into his world, our world, taking her to La Bella Vita, our anniversary spot, feeding her stories of our life together, now rewritten as a mournful past. He takes me there every month, she said, her voice tight. Says it was your special place. The knife twisted deeper. La Bella Vita wasn't just a restaurant. It was a shrine to our milestones, our first date, his proposal, every anniversary since. There's more, Rachel continued, hesitating. He's planning something for next week. Your anniversary. He's booked La Bella Vita, bought a ring. A ring. My legs buckled and I slid to the floor, back against the wall. An anniversary ring? That's what he called it. But now I think, Lauren, he's going to propose to me. On your anniversary. With your dead wife's blessing. Silence stretched between us, thick with the weight of shared betrayal. Rachel hadn't just been a pawn, she'd been deceived too, pulled into a relationship built on my erasure. I never would have, she started. I know, I cut her off. I know you wouldn't. We'd been close once, bonded by trust that time couldn't fully dissolve. In the chaos of this revelation, I was grateful she'd called, that she'd cared enough to investigate when the pieces didn't fit. What are you going to do? She asked. My gaze drifted to the laundry basket, to the lipstick stain that had sparked this unraveling. Anger flared, hot and sharp, replacing the numbness. I'm not sure yet, I said slowly, an idea flickering to life. But I don't think I'll confront him directly. What does that mean? It means, I said, standing with a resolve I hadn't felt in months, that maybe his plans for our anniversary should go ahead exactly as he intends. With one small adjustment. Rachel paused, then recognition dawned. You want me to go through with it? The date, the proposal. Right up to the moment he gets down on one knee, I confirmed. A calm settled over me, the kind that comes when chaos sharpens into purpose. And then we give him an anniversary he'll never forget. Her laugh was soft but edged with determination. Tell me what you need me to do. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the bedroom I'd shared with a man I no longer knew, two women betrayed by the same lie began to plot. The devastation lingered, a bruise on my heart, but beside it grew something fiercer. The promise of justice waiting to ignite. The next morning I drove to La Bella Vita, my hands tight on the steering wheel as I rehearsed the conversation in my head. The restaurant's brick exterior, with its ivy-covered trellis and soft golden signage, had always been a beacon of joy in our marriage. Now it loomed like a theater awaiting its final act. I parked across the street, watching as delivery trucks unloaded crates of produce, the rhythm of normalcy mocking the storm inside me. Taking a deep breath, I pushed open the door, the bell above chiming a welcome that felt hollow. Lauren. A voice cut through the clatter of the kitchen. Julia Torres, my college roommate turned restaurant manager, hurried from behind the host's stand, her dark eyes wide with concern. I'd called her late last night, spilling the story in disjointed fragments, and she'd promised to meet me today. When you told me, I couldn't believe it. Are you okay? I hugged her, drawing strength from the familiar warmth of her embrace. Not really. But I will be. Can we talk privately? She led me to her office, a cramped space cluttered with schedules, invoices, and a half-dead fern she refused to throw out. Sitting across from her, I laid out the plan, every raw, audacious detail. Julia's expression shifted from shock to fury to a steely resolve as I spoke. So you want to pose as a server next Thursday? She said, leaning forward. Wait on their table? Exactly. I need to be there, Julia. To see it happen. To make sure it ends my way. She tapped a pen against her desk, thinking. Thursday's a Madhouse Valentine's Week VY Bess, you know? But one of our servers, Mia, just went on leave. Food poisoning, poor thing. I could slot you in as a temp. No one would bat an eye, we use agency staff all the time. Relief flooded me. And Nathan? He won't recognize me. Julia studied me, her head tilted. Not if we disguise you right. He's only met me a handful of times when you've brought him here. And people don't really see servers. We're just part of the scenery to guys like him. For the next hour we built my alias. Julia walked me through the restaurant's layoutable numbers, SER-VYCE stations, the finicky POS system. We chose a section that included Table 7, Nathan's favorite spot by the window with a VYEW of the courtyard fountain. It was where he'd proposed to me 5 years ago, down on one knee with a ring he'd hidden in a tiramisu. Now it would be the stage for his undoing. You'll need to come in early Thursday for training, Julia said, scribbling notes. SER-VYANGS and art timing balance wine pours. I'll teach you everything. I'll learn whatever it takes, I said, accepting the folded black uniform she handed me. What name should I use? She grinned. How about Elise? It's your mom's middle name, right? Familiar but not obvious. While I changed in her private bathroom, my phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Meeting my lawyer friend in an hour. Anything specific for the divorce papers? I typed back everything. The house, the SAVYNGS, his precious Audi. Make it ironclad. Rachel had thrown herself into this with a zeal that surprised me, her own betrayal fueling her commitment. She'd spent the previous day gathering evidence screenshots of Nathan's texts, a recorded call where he'd waxed poetic about his late wife's anniversary, proof he'd used our joint account for the ring. Together, we were building a case as airtight as it was devastating. Back in Julia's office, dressed in the stiff black shirt and pants of La Bella Vita's staff, I caught my reflection in her mirror. The uniform didn't just change my appearance. It shifted something deeper, a sense of purpose hardening within me. You'll need more disguise, Julia said, joining me. Hair up, glasses, different makeup. Will it be enough? It has to be, I replied. He's not expecting his dead wife to pour his Pinot Grigio. Julia squeezed my shoulder. People see what they want to see. We'll make this work. She outlined a training schedule, 3 days of clandestine lessons squeezed between my daily life. What about Nathan? She asked as we walked to the front. Won't he wonder where you are Thursday night? Taken care of, I said. I told him yesterday I'm visiting my cousin in Raleigh for a few days. He didn't even blink, probably thrilled to have the house to himself. Unbelievable, Julia muttered, shaking her head. I'll see you tomorrow for round 1. The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. By day, I slipped into La Bella Vita through the back entrance, learning to balance trays laden with plates, memorizing the specials, roasted branzino with lemon caper sauce, veal osso buco with saffron risotto, and mastering the art of invisibility that servers perfect. By night, I met Rachel at her hotel downtown, poring over legal documents and refining our script. Her lawyer friend, a sharp-eyed woman named Vanessa, had drafted divorce papers that cataloged Nathan's sins: infidelity, financial deceit, emotional manipulation with clinical precision. The ring, a $4,000 purchase from our shared SAVYNGS, was the cherry on top. Wednesday night, we sat in Rachel's suite, surrounded by takeout containers and notes scribbled on napkins. Are you sure about tomorrow? She asked, passing me a glass of Merlot. We could still go straight to himless drama, less risk. I shook my head. He needs to feel it, Rachel. The shock, the exposure. I want his world to crumble in front of everyone he's tried to impress. She nodded, understanding. Your tray skills are impressive, by the way. I saw you practice with those water glasses yesterday. I laughed, the tension easing for a moment. Years of carrying grocery bags finally paid off. We stood before her mirror for a final rehearsal. Rachel ran through her rejection speech, calm, cutting, perfectly timed, while I practiced my server demeanor, keeping my face neutral even as my heart raced. What if I lose it? I whispered, doubt creeping in. What if I can't hold it together? She met my eyes in the reflection. Then I'll step in. We're a team, Lauren. But you won't falter. I've seen you these past days tougher than he ever realized. That night, back in the house I'd soon leave behind, I laid out my disguise. The uniform, a pair of clear lens glasses from a drugstore, a wig of straight blonde hair to replace my wavy brunette locks. The divorce papers sat in a plain envelope, ready to be slipped into the scene. Tomorrow was our anniversary, a day that had once meant love but now promised liberation. I climbed into bed alone, the silence no longer oppressive but expectant. Sleep came easily, a rare gift amid the storm. Thursday arrived with a crisp edge, the sky a pale blue streaked with clouds. I reached La Bella Vita at 4 p.m., entering through the staff door as the kitchen buzzed with pre-dinner chaos. "Here's our star temp," Julia called, introducing me as Elise from the agency. The staff, a mix of harried cooks and seasoned servers, barely glanced up, too focused on the rush to question my presence. In the bathroom I became Elise. The wig pinned tight, glasses perched on my nose, makeup sharp and unfamiliar. I slouched slightly, softening my edges, becoming the kind of person Nathan would overlook. The next 2 hours were a crash course in survival. I shadowed Carlo, a wiry server with 20 years at La Bella Vita, learning to anticipate needs, water refills, crumb sweeps, subtle check-ins. "You're in VY Cybele until they need you," he said, watching me clear a table with surprising grace. "Table 7's yours tonight. VIP treatment, special desserts on deck." "What's the dessert?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "Chocolate lava cake with a ring box inside. Guys proposing. Happens all the time here." At 7:50, I lingered near the host's stand, polishing glasses as the door swung open. Nathan stepped in and my stomach lurched. He wore a tailored navy suit, his hair slicked back, exuding a confidence I hadn't seen in months. Behind him, Rachel entered in a burgundy dress, her expression a masterful blend of excitement and nerves. They were seated at table 7, the fountain gurgling outside the window like a mocking soundtrack. "Good evening," I said, approaching with a tray of water glasses, my voice pitched higher. "Sparkling or still?" "Still," Nathan replied, barely glancing at me, his focus locked on Rachel. I poured, hands steady, and retreated to place their order bruschetta to start, followed by her shrimp scampi and his filet mignon. Familiar choices, echoes of our past dinners here. As the meal unfolded, I hovered just out of sight, catching snippets of their conversation. "5 years ago today," Nathan said, his voice low and theatrical, "I lost her. But meeting you, Rachel, it's like fate gave me another shot." Rachel nodded, her eyes briefly meeting mine as I refilled their water. "She must have been incredible," she said, playing her part with chilling precision. "She was my everything," Nathan lied, squeezing her hand. "But she'd want me to move on." The word stung, a fiction I'd never authored. As they finished their entrees, Nathan signaled me over. "We're ready for the special dessert," he said, still not looking at me. "Tell the kitchen it's time." "Of course, sir," I replied, retreating to the service corridor. My pulse thundered as I caught Julia's eye across the kitchen. She nodded, and the chef handed me the silver dome covering the lava cake, the ring box nestled within, and the divorce papers tucked discreetly beneath the plate. I returned to table 7, setting the dome down with a flourish. Nathan took Rachel's hand, his voice rising slightly. "Rachel, these past 6 months have been a gift. I never thought I'd love again after Lauren, but you," he dropped to one knee, and the restaurant hushed, all eyes turning to the scene. "Before you go on," Rachel interrupted, pulling her hand back, "I need to say something." Nathan blinked, thrown off script. "What?" "I know about Lauren. Not your late wife, your current wife. My best friend who's very much alive." His face paled, eyes darting to me as I removed the wig and glasses, letting my natural hair fall free. "Surprise," I said, lifting the dome to reveal the cake and papers. "Not quite as dead as you told everyone." The room erupted, gasps, murmurs, a slow clap building into applause. Nathan stammered. "Lauren, this is over," I finished, sliding the envelope toward him. "Sign the papers. My lawyer's waiting." Rachel stood, tossing the ring onto the table. "It's hers, bought with her money. Enjoy your anniversary, Nathan." She walked out and I followed, the applause swelling behind us. Outside, the night air hit me like a cleansing wave, justice tasting sharper and sweeter than any dessert. The aftermath unfolded swiftly. Nathan's lies unraveled publicly, Julia ensured the staff corroborated my story, and whispers spread through our social circle. The divorce was finalized within weeks, his resistance crumbling under the weight of inequality. I moved into a new apartment, started a photography business I'd always dreamed of, and rekindled my bond with Rachel. 6 months later, I saw Nathan across a busy street, thinner, diminished. He waved hesitantly. I nodded back, feeling nothing but calm. That night at La Bella Vita hadn't just ended a marriage. It had rewritten my story, proving some endings are the sweetest beginnings of all.